some basic foundational bedrock techniques for British Military Saber. And you know what? With all martial arts, and British Saber is no exception, when you go back into the foundational aspects of that martial art, it's just going to be better for you. And when you focus on those foundational techniques, you are going to be a better fighter for it. And so today is a little bit of a reminder for those of you who do Saber, love Saber. Nod your head and say, yeah, okay, I know, I need to do that more. When you find out what we're going to do in this video, if that's you, or if you're new to British Saber, this is the things that when you do this, you are going to be a better sword fighter. So without further ado, let's talk about our positioning, our body positioning, okay? Super important. So when you're doing your saber fighting, right? British Saber now. Notice I don't even have my sword yet. It's all about the balance. I'm facing this way, right? My shoulder is here, right? My sword shoulder is facing this way. My head is tilted this way. My leading foot is pointed in that direction. My off, this is my offhand, my off foot, it's not my off foot, it's my back foot. I have most of the weight on my back foot. In fact, I'm not on my back toes, I'm on my back heel. There's one in particular study that says that you can get more strength and torque from if you plant your heel on the ground than if you try and rotate from off your toes. So Roth really knew what he was talking about when he said to plant your heel, because with British Saber, there's a lot of very quick wrist movements where everything is in sync, right? You've trained your wrist. There's a lot of sinews in there. You can whip by rotating your wrist, you're coming, you're engaging in very fast flicks, and it seems like it's not very powerful, but trust me, if you got that rear heel down, right, planted, and you have that right spot and you're lunging forward and you flick that wrist, and as you flick that wrist, your whole body is behind it, you could really do some severe damage, and it's almost effortless after a while once you get it down. You can do that for a very long time, and they're so powerful. Those cuts are so powerful. Anyway, that's a little bit of a digression, but so and that's also one reason why the weight is on your back foot, because as you step forward, the weight's on your back foot, your heel's down, you can do all that, and then you could come back, right? And that's the other reason. It's very important that that weight is on your back foot so that your front foot has room to lunge, to retreat, right? The leg slip, okay? In order for this to work, our body has to be strong. My back is straight. My weight is over my pelvis, right, when I'm doing this. When I lunge, my back still remains straight, but my hand and my shoulder goes out, and my knee bends. If I got my knee bent when I'm out here, look, the weight distribution is still over my pelvis. And so even if I have the steep lunge, right, I could still recover fairly easy because the weight is over my pelvis, right? And I can even, so if I'm here, I can lunge, and then, really quickly, I could even come back to a leg slip. Oh, my stuff's in the way. Yeah, break an ankle, Nate. You see what I mean? So I'll do that again from here, right? I can lunge, and then come back. You're not really going to do that much in a fight, but it just shows mechanically, because the weight is over my pelvis. It's something that I could do, right? If I'm all amped up on survival instincts and whatnot, this is important. So in order to be strong in this position, you need to work out your legs. And so what better way to work out those legs than being comfortable in just bending your legs, keeping your back straight, right? So some not lunges, some lunges too, but some squats, right? So squats from this position, okay? You just bend down and come back up. So here's a little exercise that I like to do in class. So I'm here like this. I don't even have a sword. My offhand is back here somewhere. I could tuck this. I don't like to tuck my hand back It feels very restrictive, and then I am flexing still, and it does weird things to the muscles of my shoulder. That's why I put just my hand on my hip. And sometimes if they're thrusting at me, if they have a small sword type thing, I do like to, use a hand to kind of bat things out of the way every once in a while. So back here's nice. It's nice and safe back here. Helps to counterbalance, like if I've lunged and I come back, right? It really helps in that. That's another thing. But hand back here, right? And then I just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I go step forward, step back. Now when I step back, I'm stepping first with my back foot, okay? And then I do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forward, back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, forward, back. Okay. Now you can play with reps and you can play with the sets, but you get the idea. It's doing that is very good for you to be comfortable with this, right? Because sometimes you may want to duck and still be in position and then lunge, right? You need to be comfortable getting down here eventually, and the only way you could do that, right? And it's not just your muscle strength; it's the sinews in your knees, right? I'm 43 years old. I have to be careful of this stuff, so you got to build it up with these exercises, right? So being able to come down all the way and back up is super important. Be patient with yourself, but be consistent and be honest with yourself to do those types of exercises. Okay, so that's just one exercise that you can do to build a strong foundation, right? There's a whole bunch of other things, guys, that are excellent for sword fighters to do. You don't want to lose your quick skill, your quick strikes, right? So if you lift a lot of weights and grow in that way, your muscle fibers do change, and you can lose that quickness, right? So anyway, but in order to be strong, you have to lift those weights. So it's interesting how that works. But this video is not about that. But lift weights and then do sword training. You'll be a better fighter. British Military Saber. There are, I guess 7 cuts, but there's 6 that we really focus on, right? So we've got cut 1, right? Cut 2, cut 3. Cut 4, cut 5, cut 6, right? And then cut 7 is straight down, but there's no really straight down cut. You always want to engage your left shoulder is connected to your right hip. As far as tendons and ligaments, right? Along your back. Your back is crisscrossed. Your left shoulder to your right hip and your right shoulder to your left hip. And so when you striking straight down, it's all just arm strength. You're not getting that cross flexion, I guess, from your shoulder to hip, right? You can't just move your hip and then really get that power from it. And so that's why in swordsmanship, they always say, cross your body. It's always at a diagonal, right? It just feels better. You get so much more power out of it. Well, that's why. And so cut 7, it isn't really truly straight up and down. There's always some kind of, even if it's super shallow or super steep, right? Even if it's a super steep cut, you are crossing your body and thereby being able to activate, even if it's just a little bit, that cross sinew thing that each one of us has. So yeah, that's why they say cuts 1 through 6. I'm not sure if they knew about what I just explained physiologically, but they understood that that's where the power in your cuts come from. You have to do that. So cuts 1 through 6, and 7 is just like a really steep 1 or really steep 2 cut. So anyway, the drills. Here's the drill. Boy, there's a lot of goodness, digression stuff really packed into this video. Hopefully you find that at least informative, if not entertaining. But it's all true what I'm saying here. So So if we do cuts 1 through 6 in a nice flow drill, this is what it looks like, right? So you do cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, British Saber, you focus on the wrist. You really want to cut from the wrist as you go, right? So cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Again, a nice flow drill. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is for the discipline, right? To get that wrist strength, but also as a warm-up. Okay. So let's do this a couple times. Let's do this 10 times, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And you do that 10 times. We're not going to do that now. Just you could do that. Okay, so now that we're all nice and warm, let's get into some of these exercises. Now, British Saber goes really fast. In fact, all Saber goes really fast. And so you have your strike, you have your guards, you have your strikes, and you have your parries and ripostes. And so in this exercise today, what we want to do is combine some of these elements, right? So this is like basic stuff once you understand how to grab the saber. In fact, let's talk about that really quick. So in the British military tradition, there's 3 types, right? You have your hammer grip, which looks like this, like you're kind of holding a hammer, you know, and then they have sort of a modified version of that. And with British sabers, they have this really nice swell here. Lots of them do. This particular saber is a little bit more exaggerated. This is a great saber, by the way. This is silk fencer, or silk fencing, I should say. This is a silk fencing synthetic saber. It's really nice. I love these guys. They're made in Poland. They're very inexpensive, but anyway, I'll talk about that in another video. But I really like these sabers. So hammer grip. There's hammer grip, and then I've got the handshake grip. See, so my index finger kind of goes here, and then my thumb is not here, it's here, right? So I really got a good hold around this. And the reason, and this is called the handshake grip, almost like you're shaking somebody's hand. And the reason why this particular grip is good, so for when I'm in inside guard or outside guard, if I have lateral forces hitting my blade, then my fingers are all the way wrapped around my sword, and so I don't lose it, right? It's very easy. In fact, it's a goal when you're fencing somebody. If you can knock that sword out of their hand, you're doing really good. So handshake grip, okay, so the problem with the hammer grip is it's strong, but it really, when you're squeezing hard, it really locks the sinews in your wrist straight, and you don't have the suppleness that you need to really flick your wrist, right? You really need mobility to be able to flick your wrist, and so you can't have this really tight squeeze on your saber that you would normally do in a hammer type grip. So you know, you really need to have a strong but supple grip, and so that's what handshake grip is. It's strong, but it's supple. You could really flick that saber where it needs to go, right? Kind of thing. Anyway, it's a nice in between grip. It works great. And then you have what's called the thumb grip, right? And so the thumb basically goes from holding the side of the grip to really going to the back of it. And so what you're doing is you're squeezing between your index and your thumb, right? Your index finger is towards the front, and then you're squeezing your thumb on the back, right? A lot of British sabers, they have this back strap here. So you got your thumb right on that back strap, and then your pinky, see, and ring finger, when you move your wrist, you squeeze those, and then it just adds a lot more power to your cut, right? And so you can flick it around, right? So thumb grip works really well also. Let's say, and then it extends your reach out, right? If you have thumb grip like this, and then this part of your saber actually tucks in to the recess of your palm. This makes it excellent for thrusting, right? So if you're thrusting into something, and fencing is a game of inches, right? And so you could extend your reach just a bit with that thumb grip, having the base of your grip recessed, right, inside your palm, and you have a little bit more reach, and so you can really unleash that cut, right? And then when you thrust, and you could do a lot of supple things, and then when you thrust, you're not injuring your fingers up here because your palm is catching the resistance, and you'll be able to thrust through thicker clothes and stuff like that without ruining your grip. So anyway, that's thumb grip. Man, I'm full of stories today. So we've got our hammer grip, our handshake grip, and our thumb grip. So that's what those are. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about guards and strikes and ripostes. You start from a guard, wherever your guard is, right? You got to protect yourself. And then, you lunge forward and you perform your cut, whatever your cut is. But then if it's not successful, you have to be able to defend yourself, right, with another action. So what happens is when you don't want to just stand right in front of somebody in sword range, and you're in sword range, and then you just go at it, right? It's not what you want to do. You want to be out of range. You want to be out of range. You want to be in some kind of guard. And then when you see an opening, you go for that opening with your saber, and you lunge forward, right? Remember our proper positioning, right? So my weight is on my back foot. I lunge forward. I conduct my cut. If I am thwarted, if they parry, then I have to be very careful that their riposte, basically. So what is a riposte, Nate? A riposte is when someone does a parry, and then oftentimes they get to use the energy that you threw at them, and that transfers to their sword. And with a lot of ripostes, it works to their favor for them to steal that energy, work it in their wrist, and bring it back. For example, a great riposte position is if you go into hanging guard and someone does an overhead cut, right? You want to parry at your fort, right? This part of your blade, it's the strongest part. This is your foible, right? You do not want to attempt to parry up here at your foible. You really want to do it at your fort. The classic example of an excellent riposte is, let's say that someone strikes at me. I come into a nice hanging guard. We've all seen this in the pirate movies. Their sword comes here, right? And what happens is their sword slides off my sword, but I'm holding firm with my wrist, but my sword still kind of bends like this. But my wrist is sort of stretched and cocked in a way, like a rubber band gun. Now, if I turn my wrist ever so slightly, that energy in my wrist, it wants to bounce back. See that? That's just my sinews doing that, right? That's just my tendons. So if they're coming at me and I'm successful in that parry, if I turn my wrist, I stole that energy in my wrist, and I'm springing it back and giving it to them. I saved that energy, and I am cutting them all the harder. A riposte is just like you've done a parry, and then with the flick of a wrist, you're coming right back, right? That's basically a riposte. So in saber, like I said, you have your strike, but then you better come back into a guard, because if they parry your blow, then they will riposte. Well, anyway, you just count on it. They are going to riposte you. And so here's some exercises that we can do that will help you understand that cadence. So I mentioned the hanging guard, right? So this is outside guard, this is inside guard, and this is hanging guard. Okay, so now let's talk about the first cadence, right? The first lesson. So what we're going to do here is strike, parry, riposte. So we're going to go outside guard, hit number 1, hanging guard, hit number 1. Okay, so outside guard, hit one, I miss. So immediately I come back into a hanging guard. But then if they strike at me, now I come back around for another hit one, right? So this is like, you've seen this. Dun, 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 dun. Goes like this, right? Yeah, very swashbuckling. They like to do this in pirate movies when they're talking and ha 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 ha, and they're laughing. Like getting stitches is fun. Right? So that's that. Outside guard, hanging guard, riposte, hanging guard, riposte, hanging guard, riposte, right? Okay, so that's the first exercise. Notice that I lunge forward, I came back, I lunge forward, I came back, right? So that's probably the most basic one you could do. Now let's do hits 1 and 2. We're going to start an outside guard. We're going to do a cut number 1. Then we're going to come back into inside guard and then a cut number 2. To outside guard, right? So I'm an outside guard. Cut 1, inside. Cut 2, outside. Cut 1, inside. Cut 2, outside. Cut 1, inside. Cut 2, outside. Right? Cut 1, inside. Cut 2, outside. Right? Yes. Now, you could also do it like this. Right? You could do it continuously. Right? I could be an outside guard and I could cut 1 and then back to outside guard again. You see that? Cut 1, and then I flick my wrist to go back to outside guard. This is if they do a void or a leg slip, or they move their sword out of the way, right? Like this. So if you cut and they tricked you and they moved out of the way, the idea is if you cut and they move out of the way, you're expecting resistance and there is none. And so you go like, whoa, like that, and then they get you. That's the whole point. That's why they do that. But if you have this in your repertoire, right? You do the cut 1. Oh my gosh, they missed. Well, catch it in your wrist and twirl it back, right? Ha! So practice that. Cut. Ah, you're not going to fool me. Yes, sir. I am not fooled, not one bit. Ha ha! You dirty dog, sir. Like that, right? Insults may vary. Okay? Right? Da-da. Now, you could also do it the other way, from inside guard, right? Inside guard, cut 2, back to inside guard, right? Inside guard, cut 2. Oh no, I missed. Back to inside guard. Inside guard, cut 2, back to inside guard. Inside guard, cut 2, back to inside. Back to inside. Back to inside. Back to inside. Okay, so that's that. Now let's talk about the next one, guys. I'm just going to cruise through these. All of these are important for you to do, and it's really, really fun. Okay, so the next one that we can do. All right, cuts 3 and cuts 4. Outside to hanging. Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm an outside guard, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a cut 3. So remember, cut 3 is I start low, and I cut diagonally like this. And the idea is I'm trying to, a cut 3, a surprise cut 3. If they're holding it like this, I'm cutting, underneath to get their wrist or something. Usually, when you're saber fighting, a lot of times what you want to do is hit them in the wrist so they lose their sword, and then you could decide what to do with them later. You're taking away their danger, right? And so you could take a prisoner or dispatch them or throw them in the water or I don't know whatever you want to do, right? That's the concept. But the fact is, you've disarmed them, you've disabled them because you hit them in the wrist, right? It doesn't have to be a wrist strike. It's just very common. Okay, so in this one, we'll do it at this angle. I'm going to be I'm going to be an outside guard. I'm going to do cut 3, but then from here, I'm going to go back to hanging guard, and then from here, I'm going to launch in a cut 4, right? Let me show it to you from here, right? I'm an outside guard, cut 3, but then see my wrist is here. I missed. I'm going to turn my wrist like this and bring it back. Boom. And notice I'm in a hammer grip, right? So I started in like a handshake grip, right, to do my cut 1, but then I turned into hanging guard because I missed, and then the idea is that A hanging guard is a very strong guard for someone who's just coming down hard at you, right? With a shovel or a baseball bat or a halberd or a saber, right? If someone like cranks their shoulder and is really coming after you, right? Whoa! You really want to do something like a hanging guard, right? A lot of the times. Not always, but a lot of the times. There's no always in sword fighting. I'm sorry, there's just not. You know, preserving your own life is a very pragmatic affair. So, but it's an excellent way to do it, right? And this is a strong guard, so mileage may vary, but it's a very excellent one. All right, so here we go. Handshake grip. I do a cut one. I miss. I turn my wrist. Now I'm in hanging guard like this, right? I parry, and then I step forward and I do a cut four, right? And then back to outside guard, right? So let's do that again. Man, I talk a lot, but here we go. It's fun talking. 3, hanging, 4, and back, right? So here I am. Cut 3, hanging guard, cut 4, and back to outside guard. Cut 3, hanging guard, cut 4, and back. 3, hanging guard, cut 4, and back. Yeah, cool, huh? I like that one. It's very challenging to do that. That's why I wanted to show you guys this, because if you guys have eyes to see, you can see why it would be good to do in practice. Okay, so cuts 5 and 6. This one's kind of tough. So we're going to start in hanging guard, right? And I said I wasn't going to do it, but I'm going to show you. So you could do hanging guard, right? Inside or outside hanging guard. You can do that, right? And then you have down here, you have half hanger, right? So I could do inside half hanger or outside half hanger. And usually if someone's coming in at your leg or straight at your torso, you meet them with the half hanger, right? To meet their force with your force, right? So you're not just going and hold and putting it there, because they will beat you, right? And then your sword will go out of the way and they'll cut you. So if they're striking at me this way, I need to move my arm that way, right, to check them with an outside half hanger. And the same if they're coming at me this way, I need to check them with my inside half hanger, right? Okay. So with this, what we're going to do is we're going to do cuts 5 and 6. We're going to start hanging guard, right? Just your classic prime, your inside hanging guard, right? So from here, see how I turn my wrist and do a cut 5 to half hanger, cut 6, and then back to hanging guard, right? To like prime, right? So here I am, cut 5, half hanger, cut 6, back like so, right? So let's do this. Hanging guard, 5, half hanger, 6, back to hanger. Again, 5, half hanger, 6, hanger. Again, 5, half hanger, 6, hanger. Again, 5, half hanger, 6, hanger, and so on. Yeah, how's them? How do you like them apples, eh? Okay, so let's do another one. This is fun. Yeah, Nate, this is fun. Hey, we're in the bonus rounds. Okay, bonus. Our guards were going to shift from inside to outside, right? So inside to a cut 2, outside cut 1, oh, to hanging guard. Okay, so inside guard to cut 2, outside guard to cut 1, right? And then hanging guard. We're going to end up at hanging guard, right? So inside guard, cut 2, outside, cut 1, to hanging guard. Notice I'm lunging and I'm coming back. I come back. I'm back in a guarded position, and I attack. I'm lunged, and then I come back in another guard position. It's important, that back and forth. It's really important to study that, to do that, to learn that. That's what Saber's all about. Okay, so I'm an inside guard, cut 2, outside guard, cut 1, hanging guard, right? Cut 2, inside, cut 1, hang. Right, inside guard, cut 2, outside, cut 1, hang. Yeah? I'm an inside guard. Cut 2, cut 1, hang. All right, next. From inside guard, cut 4 to hanging, cut 3 outside. All right. Inside guard to cut 4. Wait, no, hold on. Inside 4, hanging 3. Yeah, okay. Here we go. Inside, cut 4 to hanging guard to cut 3 to outside. Okay. Inside guard, cut 4 to hanging guard to cut 3 to outside. Right? Inside guard, cut 4, hanging, cut 3, outside. Right? Inside, cut 4, hang, cut 3, outside. Yeah, I like this one. This one's a good challenge. Okay, let's do it again. Inside guard, cut 4, hanging guard, cut 3, outside. Inside guard, 4, hanger. Oh, I wanted to do, 3. Sorry, 3, outside. Sheesh. Well, for some reason I thought 1. Okay, here we go. It's late, long day, but we're doing this together, are we? Yes, we are. Okay. Inside guard, cut 4, hanger, cut 3, outside. Yeah. Oh, I love this one. I'm going to do it one more time. Okay. So, inside guard, cut 4, hanger, cut 3, outside. Hot dang. I'm going to do this without talking because this is cool and I'm slowing myself down. So, here we go. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, last one, guys. Last one. The very last one. If you're still with me, guys, thank you. I love you guys, and this is for you. You're here to get better with me about Saber. I want to see you guys in the tournament circuit when we get the all clear of this crazy pandemic. Okay, so inside guard, cut 5. St. George. Oh, excuse me. Inside guard, cut 6. St. George, cut 5. Hanging guard. These just keep getting more fun. Okay, here we go. So, inside guard, cut 6 to St. George. I lied to you guys, I realized. At the beginning, I said we were only going to do 3 guards. As it turns out, we're doing most of them. So, forgive me. St. George. The guard of St. George, right? Is like hanging, but it's up like this. So if someone's really coming down at you, right on your head, okay? You're holding your sword straight out like this. You're still catching them right on your fort, okay? And typically you're like this. You're coming back like this. Your sword is out. Your arm is straight. You're really checking that blow. That's a strong blow that they're coming down on your head. You only got one. Your mama gave it to you. You like it so much you want to keep it. So boom, like this. St. George, right? With the power of St. George, I thwart you, dragon. That kind of thing. Okay, so inside guard, cut 6, St. George, and then a cut 5 from there, and then hanging guard. Yes, yes, and yes. So, start with inside. Yeah, of course we do. Inside guard, cut 6, St. George, and cut 5 to hanging guard. Boy, Nate, come on, get with it, dude. All right, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Inside guard, cut 6, St. George, cut 5 to hanging. Yeah, this one's so techie. I like it. All right, again, inside guard, cut 6, St. George, cut 5, hanging. Yeah? Yes, 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 yes. Let's try again. Inside guard, cut 6, St. George, cut 5, hanging guard. Boy, from St. George to hanging guard. This dude's a beast. This dude's a serious ogre troll hitting you with a tree branch or something. That's okay. Some guys swing for the fences, and you need to know how to defend yourselves against them. Eh? Yeah. All right, here we go. Inside guard, cut 6, St. John, cut 5, and hanger. All right, let's do that again. Here we go. Cut 6, St. John, cut 5. Yeah. Yeah. Man, I feel like there's this big ogre dude, and you're here in inside guard, And right off the bat, you don't want to mess with him, so you go for that decap. Whoa, decapitation, but you miss, right? So from here, boom, you come up with your St. George because he's hitting you with a tree branch, right? He's swinging that tree branch. Boom! You parry that, and then you just turn your wrist for a cut 5 because you're going to try it again. Try that decap. And you miss. And then here you are. Or maybe, cut 5, you actually got him. That's a better story. You got him. His head's flying off, but his arm's still coming down. Let's try it again with that in mind. So here, inside guard. Cut 6. St. George. Cut 5. Oh. Yeah. All right. I'm going to put it together a little more smoothly so we can all say, yay, Nate, you're awesome. Okay, let's try again. Here we go. Oh, I want to do like a cut 1. That's my problem. See, I'm programmed for a cut 1 instead of a cut 5. But we need that cut 5, right? Because what if they're doing a St. George and you come under that with a cut 5? All right, Nate, you can do this. Let's try again. See, that's why I put these together, because it puts in some muscle memory of things that you normally wouldn't do. Normally, I follow the John Taylor's 10 lessons, right? And so, anyway, this is a little different from that. And so it's not my muscle memory. So this is very good to do different things so that you're not predictable. Right? You want to build up muscle memory strikes, right? But you don't want to do it to where you're predictable. So, you know, a cut 6, who thinks someone's going to do a cut 5? Well, maybe somebody will, but you know, typically it's like a cut 1, especially if it's like a power move like an ogre. You really want to come down like this too, but if they're expecting it and they got their sword held high and guarding their head, if you do something like a cut 3 or a cut 5, they don't really expect that, and hopefully you go under their sword, under their defense. So let's try this. This is definitely something for me to work on. Yeah, you hear that, Nate? I do hear that, Nate. All right, here we go. Cut 6, St. George. Cut 5, hanger. Yes. Yes, I did it. All right, guys, I'm going to end it off here. So hopefully this was entertaining, but actually, most importantly, I hope that you learned something here about British Military Saber. If this is something that's interesting to you and you've never seen this before, thank you for watching to the end of the video. So anyway, I'm Coach Nate with the BladeFit Academy. Always remember to slay your demons, and I will catch you on the next video.